Hey y'all, welcome to the Q Spot Podcast with your host, Quabila Jones, bringing you real and relevant conversations. Be prepared to laugh, cry, and take notes as we dive into each discussion. Stay tuned. With special guest Paul Gilbert discussing making more than music. Hi, Paul. How are you
Hey,
doing?
how you doing? I'm doing good.
All right. So, hey to everyone out there that's watching. Thank you for tuning in. I am so excited to finally get this interview off the ground.
Um,
Paul, you've been making music for quite some time, but I first want to give people just an introduction of you, who you are, and so they'll get to know where you come from, and then we'll dive right into how you got started in music. I'm really interested to hear this story. Some people think, okay, just because I have a skill, a talent, I can write, I can rap, I can sing, but it's a whole lot more to making music than just having the skill. You got to have a lot of more knowledge and some insight to
yes,
the
ma'am.
business. But we'll definitely get into that. So let me go. Let me read your bio. So Paul Gilbert, you were raised in Blue Mountain, Mississippi. You relocated to Jonesboro, Arkansas, where you have been
Yes,
performing gospel rap music for about 15 years. As a
yes, ma'am.
dedicated Christian, you attended Royal Priesthood Prophetic Ministries right here in Jonesboro, where you've been a member now for the past 8 years. In addition to performing gospel rap, you professionally produce music and have worked with veterans in the industry, and I work with artists such as Courtney Walker, aka Majestic Sounds, and Ricky
Yes,
Strickland, aka Slim VZ. Did I say that right?
yes, ma'am. Yeah, busy.
Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
from Memphis, Tennessee. All right, and then the list goes on to include some major other major gospel artists such as Swift Graham, aka R Swift, from
Yes,
Atlanta, Georgia, and platinum
yes, ma'am.
producer DJ Payne One from
Yes,
Wisconsin, of
yes,
who
ma'am.
you will be producing some music in the upcoming months.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, that's
Yes,
amazing. So I definitely can't wait to get into what you have coming up. But we definitely want to let people know what you worked on, who you are. So let's just talk. We talked about where you're from, and so
yes.
where'd you go to school? Let's give some school. Show some school pride. Where'd you go to school?
Blue Mountain High School.
All righty. So what was your
Yeah.
mascot?
Cougars.
Okay, go Cougars.
Yeah.
I'm from Marietta, Arkansas, right here from Arkansas.
Okay.
Trojans were our mascot. I don't think we ever played anybody out of state, so our past
Okay.
men never crossed. All
Uh,
right, so let's talk about though. How did you get into music? Like, I know you said you've been performing for like 15 years, but where did your love interest? What did you first start? When did you first start?
I first started my love for music. I first started around my teenage days. In the school cafeteria, just writing lyrics, and
Okay,
I really got into it, then at a
so
young age. I always had a passion for it. Yes, ma'am.
was it a group of you all, or would you just kind of sit by yourself and write and just rap and?
Yes, ma'am. Kind of sit by myself, writing rap.
Okay.
Yeah.
A lot of kids will say that's how they kind of got their start. They would just have ideas. They have a notebook. Did you always carry a notebook with you?
No, I just had a little pen and pad, just writing on just a little paper. That's
Okay.
how I started in the cafeteria. Yes, ma'am.
Would you say you also, or did you do freestyle? Or was it kind of
Yeah. It
okay.
was kind of freestyle. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm not a I write poetry and I would love to be a
Okay.
freestyler, but that is not the gift God gave me. So I'm going to stick to my pen and
Yeah.
paper. All
All
right.
right. Yeah.
So have you always known though, like you had a gift for rapping? Like it's one thing to write lyrics and it's one thing to, have all these ideas, but as far as being able to rap, I don't have a voice to rap. I've been told I talk too proper, like it just don't go over well. So have you always just
Yes, ma'am.
known you had that gift?
Yes, ma'am. I always known I had the gift because, like I said, at a young age, I fell in love with music. It was a passion for me, and it was something that was just. I just want to say it was just a God-given talent, God-given driven purpose for me, because I've always been around people listening to music and being around just music pretty much all the time, and
Okay.
it really gave me inspiration to just try to do my own, write for my own self and write my own lyrics and everything. So I
Okay.
started doing that, and once I started doing it, it sound really good,
Okay.
really good.
So like, you want to go ahead
Yeah,
and get into this. So when did you
yeah.
decide to do gospel rap though?
I started doing gospel rap around 2005.
Okay. So not too
Yes, ma'am.
long. And so
No, not too long.
did you ever consider going another route though? Some people they touch on they touch in the secular, they kind of or they may go back and forth, whatever. But have you ever
Yes,
considered
ma'am.
something other than gospel rap?
Well, before I started doing gospel rap, I was doing the secular rap
Okay.
before I got saved, and yeah, wasn't really getting nowhere with that
Okay.
secular rap. But once I got saved and gave my life to Christ, I had quit doing secular rap. But
Okay.
then after a while, I realized, that was a gift God gave me. So I just started using rap to glorify God instead of doing it the secular way. So
That's awesome.
that's how I really got into it. Yes, ma'am.
And I'm sure
2005 when I first started.
2005.
Ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. You don't have to call me ma'am. Look, I'm not that old.
Okay. I guess. I guess.
Okay. So, when you decided you want to do gospel rap, who were some of your influences or inspirations in the earlier day in 2005 and, those early times?
Okay, then. Well, I kind of grew up listening to a lot of Memphis rap. 8 Ball, MJG, uh,
Didn't we all?
Skinny Pimp, yeah, and 3 6 Mafia.
Okay. So, is
Yeah.
that how you kind of mirror your sound after that Memphis sound?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And
Yes.
were there other I'm not real familiar with all the gospel rap artists, but were there quite a few gospel rap artists in the industry back in 2005 that you looked up to?
Yes. Yeah, R. Swift, he was one of them, and guy named K Drama, uh, Lecrae was out then, and
Oh, okay.
116, yeah, they was out.
Okay. So gospel rap has been around for a minute. I think people actually kind of been sleeping on it. Um,
Yeah, they had.
I must say I'm not as hip. I grew up with the old school like Mississippi Mass Choir kind of music.
Yeah,
So that's
yeah.
kind of that's kind of my background. But I'm getting more into the rap. There's a few songs that kind of get me going. Like okay, I really like that.
Oh
So
yeah,
I will say I
yeah.
do like your music. I love your style. Um, I
Thank
can't do every single song, but I have listened to a few tracks, so I do like
you.
your
Okay,
music.
then. Thank you.
And so when you decided, okay, I'm going to do this music thing, I'm going to do gospel rap, and you told your family, what was the conversation like?
Well, it went well. They always support me and always have my back in pretty much anything I wanted to do, and they would just support me and encourage me. If that's what I wanted to do, they were gonna have my back in it. So they supported me, major support.
That's
Yeah,
awesome. So did they
yeah,
like buy your albums and go to your shows and
yeah,
like just was there for you all the way?
yeah. They supported me all the way. They would buy my music, and like I say, come to my shows too. Yeah.
All right. Well, did you have any friends? Okay, this is, I guess, a two-part question. Friends that really supported you, and then friends that kind of fell off, or they felt that, like, I hate to say they didn't support you, they didn't believe in you, or maybe they were a little jealous. I don't know. You know.
Yeah,
So,
I've had that too. I've had some friends that really supported me, and I had some that was jealous, and it's like yeah, pretty much the same thing. Like you were saying, they were jealous, and some just kind of fell off that didn't really believe in me at the same time anyway. So yeah, I've dealt with all that.
so now that some may see where you are now, have they tried to, the ones that fell off or walked away, have they tried to come back?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, they have.
So do you offer them the grace of God and say, okay, you know what it was, and we can be friends
Yeah,
again.
I do.
Okay.
Yeah, I do.
So hopefully they stick around this time and they see the gift that God has given you and they see
Right.
where you're going and you're trying to make an impact. And that's why the title of the show is Making More Than Music. Almost anybody can make music, but you are trying to save souls. You are trying to make an impact
Yeah.
in your community, in the world. You are trying to influence up and coming young artists. And we'll definitely get into that.
Oh, uh,
All right. And so we talked about, people kind of walking away, but have there ever been people that verbally said to you, you can't do that, you're not going to be successful? Like they really just try to, discourage you from even going forward with your dreams.
yes, there was a few. There was a few that tried to discourage me that way, but
And
I I just didn't let it stop me. I just kept going.
okay. And
Yeah.
when we know that God has given us something, yeah, we have to just shut out all those naysayers.
Yeah.
I don't want to say haters. I'm going to say naysayers.
Yeah.
People who don't initially believe in us. Yeah, we have to shut them out and stay focused on what God told us to
That's
do.
right.
Because you
Yeah,
never
that's true.
know. We never know who we are blessing with our gifts. I can write poetry and I
Yeah.
can talk, but and we never know who's listening or who's reading. In your case, who's listening to your music, and your
Right.
style of music may be just what they need to bring them into the fold. So
That's
you're
right.
blessing somebody with your gift.
That's right. That is so true.
So again, we talked about you make more than music. You are now tapping into the producing side. So when did that happen, or when did you decide I want to, try my hand at producing?
Okay. Well, I started producing around 2010
Okay.
because uh I had just decided to start making beats for myself because I was just rapping over
Okay.
instrumentals. And I started making them, and everybody was listening to my beats I was making. They were saying how good they were, and I just kept going from there. And a few guys in my neighborhood, they was liking it, and now I'm then clicked up with Majestic Sounds. He's been doing it longer than I have, but he's helping me along the way to make my craft even more better than what it already is. So
Okay.
we working together right now. So yeah,
And
then like I said, ma'am.
no, I was gonna ask, is it a lot? Again, I don't know anything about making music.
Okay,
So is it a lot
okay.
more to it than some people think it is? Like, kind of walk us through a process of creating a beat or starting with the beat, an idea, and then actually, putting the lyrics. Like, what's the process like?
Well, to make a beat, you want to start with an 8 bar loop. Pretty much, just that'll be your chorus. The 8 bar
Yeah.
loop is your chorus. Or you can use your verse for a 12 bar beat or a 16 bar. So you want to write 12 bars, like every end of a sentence, that's a bar when you
Okay.
write. Yes, man.
Oh,
And that's pretty much it. That's pretty much how you do it.
and see, I have a lot to learn. Like,
Yeah.
some
Yeah.
people say writing poetry is like writing music, but I don't know. I don't.
Yeah.
I would
Yeah.
love to see somebody try to put my poems to music. That would be
Okay.
interesting.
Okay.
Oh my goodness. All right. So, how many artists so far, have you worked with as far as producing some beats for their tracks, for their songs?
Well, far as producing, it was just some local talent around my area. So it might have been a good many, but like I said, I'm gonna say it's been about 10 in my area
Okay.
that
And
I've
so,
worked with that was local.
are they still, doing their thing and still trying to keep up in the music industry?
Yeah, I think one of them is doing really well,
Okay.
really well with it. Yeah.
So would you at
Now
some
the others
point?
I haven't heard it, man.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I said, yeah. One of the guys, I think he's doing really good, but I haven't heard nothing else from the other guy.
At some point, would you like to have your own production company?
Oh yeah, yeah,
Alrighty.
yeah. It'd be something I'd like to work on right about maybe in the future.
Okay. All right. And then, so we talked about how you've had the privilege of working with some well-known recording artists. Tell us how did those relate? How did those relationships start? Like, how did the conversation start? And then, what has
Mm.
it felt like for you? What's the experience been like?
Oh, experience been good. I'm working with Majestic Sounds, and we work together in the studio, and he encouraged me and give me ideas when I'm writing, and during the process, he always try to keep me motivated pretty much in the studio. And R. Swift, he reached out to me, and wanted to work with me. So that's how I got to work with him through social media. He reached out to me, and DJ Payne One did the same thing. So, I guess they had been noticing my
Okay.
music and listening to me. So they wanted to help me along the way. So that's been a blessing to me.
All right. So again, you're making more than music. You're making connections. You're
Yes,
making
ma'am.
memories for sure, and you're
Oh, yeah.
you're building these networks that you can help to draw other people, other young artists into the mix, so they can get their feet wet and get
Yeah.
their music out there and build their careers. And so I love that you are not being selfish about what you're doing. There's some
Oh,
people
no.
they get into the industry and it's all about them. Like they don't try to bring anybody else along with them. They just, focus on their career. But I love how
Yeah.
you are willing to create a space for other artists to come in
Yes,
and
ma'am.
get what you
Yeah.
have. There's room for everybody at the table.
It is. It is. That's right.
And so, outside of the artists that you already work with, are there any other artists on your radar that you would love to collaborate with?
Yeah. I like to work with Lecrae, the whole 116, Mr. Dale, and a guy named Fro from Memphis.
Okay.
That's that'd be it.
Alrighty. Well, we hope that
Yeah.
that happens. Not by the end of this year. Next year, gonna bring some
Oh
changes.
yeah.
2020 has not. Well, I guess it depends on how you look at it, but for some people, 2020 hasn't been the greatest the greatest year. But hopefully, people are taking the time to regroup and refocus and make a plan, and come out
Yeah.
with a bang for 2021. We're gonna see what happens
Yeah.
2021.
Oh yeah.
um,
Yeah.
and so, even though you're not able to do shows or anything right now, how are you able to stay connected with your fans?
Through social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube.
Okay, so
Yeah.
let's tell people where they can find you. I'm gonna put some information at the bottom. Do you have like an email address or a website, or where can people find you?
Yeah, you can find me at RPG underscore 662 at yahoo.com.
All right, so RPG underscore 662 at yahoo.com.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so there's information right there on the screen if you would like to reach out, collaborate, work, do any type of work in the music industry. Please reach out to Mr. Paul, and I'm sure he
Yeah.
will help you in any way possible. All right,
Yeah.
so as of right now, how many albums do you have out?
Well, I have one EP out, but I'm currently working on a new one right now.
Okay, so
Yes, I just got one EP.
for those that may not understand like the that lingo, what does an EP mean?
Extended play. It means just you may have just two or three songs that's leading up
Okay.
to your main album. That's what it means.
Okay.
You're just
Okay.
taking two or three songs from the main album and putting them out there for them to listen to until you finish up the whole album. Extended
Okay.
play.
So
Yeah.
is that the move that artists, the direction artists are going in nowadays? Because sometimes we see five
Yeah,
songs here, a single that like artists
yeah.
are not dropping like whole CDs at one time.
Mm-mm. Not like they used to. Now they do maybe few songs, like you said, a single here, two or three songs there, yeah, or just the EP. Pretty much it now.
Do
Now
you
they
think that's
doing
one of the best ways to go as far as helping an artist gain attention or gain fans or just get their name out there?
yeah, it radio, radio plays good. Getting
Okay.
your music on the radio, and and social media is a real good way to build your fan base up and get you a website. Yeah,
Okay. And that's why I
yeah,
wanted to do this interview. I wanted people to get to know who you are, that you have
um,
some music out there. They need to get to know you and they need
yeah,
to spread it to everybody else they know. So we can
yeah,
get
that's
your
true.
name out there in the mainstream. Like we want to someday see you at some award show. Like that's the whole goal. I know
Yeah,
getting an award is not everything, but just to be nominated, I can imagine
yeah,
what it feels like just to be nominated. You know?
yeah. Just to be nominated, it's a good feeling.
Yes.
Good feeling.
All right. So you said you have an EP out. So are you? Most artists are constantly working. So it's probably a stupid question. Most artists are always working, but do you have some new music that you may drop by the end of the year?
Yes, I do. I'm working on a song with Majestic Sounds called "Touch the Sky," and it's
Okay.
produced by DJ Payne One. So it'll probably be out in the maybe next month,
Okay. So
maybe in the beginning of next month.
let's talk about that. Some people think they go in the studio, they record, put some beats, mix like 2 days, 3 days, whatever, song is done. It doesn't always work out like that because you have to go
No,
back
it doesn't.
and you have to listen to stuff and master and this, that, and it's a lot.
Yeah,
So tell us
it's a
about the
process.
process.
Yes, ma'am. Sometimes it takes time. Being an engineer, it takes time to master your music and make sure you have your vocals right and different vocal chains on your vocals to give it that clear sound that you're looking
Okay.
for. And the
All right.
mastering as well. So it is a process.
So do you ever go back, like once something is done, do you ever go back
Mhm.
and like, dang, I still miss something? Do you ever feel like you missed
Yeah,
something?
yeah. Well, I've done it a few times. Yeah, I had to go back and change some things
Okay.
in a song. Yeah,
All right. And so, where do you draw your inspiration from though? When you're writing and you're, laying down the tracks and where do you get your inspiration from?
um, I get my inspiration from just knowing that there's a lot of people out there that really could like to hear my testimony. So that keeps me motivated to because, like I said, I always got a heart to help people. I want
Okay.
to help people. So that kind of gives me inspiration to just stay writing and because I know I can tell somebody that can help them, that God will help you in your tough times, your trials, or whatever it is you may be dealing with, so that always gives me inspiration to want to write.
So, have you met people, especially young people? They see you, this professional, this classy person, and they
Yeah.
think you've always been this person. You're like,
Oh, no,
y'all don't
no.
know.
Yeah, right. I ain't always been like this, huh? Oh, no.
So, with that, do you take time and try to mentor or talk to young people and just let them know, okay, what you see
Yeah,
now is not always what I was, but let me tell
right,
you how I got here.
right. Yes, ma'am, I have. Yes, ma'am,
Okay.
I've done
So,
that.
do you feel like the young people listen to you, or and they want to make some changes in their life?
Yeah, they listen to me. Yeah.
Okay. What I found with younger people, especially like under 21, the more real you are with them, the more they're willing to listen to you. Um,
Right.
and once they know that you're not perfect and you have some flaws too, And
Yeah,
then
that's
they
right.
see where you are now. They're like, okay, well, maybe I'll consider doing some different things in my life. I mean,
Right.
they're young. They're gonna make some choices that we don't care for, but
Right.
hopefully, the impact that you have on their life will stick with them, and they'll make less bad choices.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
All right. So, what do you want people to know about Paul? Like, I know we haven't just really gotten too deep into your background, and you can share as much or as little as you want. But what do you want people to know about Paul, the man, the artist?
Well, I just want people to know, that I'm a very hard worker, and also a man of God, a man of faith, and I love to keep people encouraged. And I really believe in what I'm doing, and and I try to encourage people to do, make better choices and make better decisions. You ain't got to keep going down the same road, that you might be starting on, but just trusting God and putting God first and doing whatever He put in your heart to do. And that's it.
What about those you encounter that say it's just hard? I don't see the light at the end of the tunnel. I don't see what you're saying. You
Yeah.
know, how do you address those people?
Uh, um, just let them know, I come from doing drugs, alcohol, and like I was saying, I just trusted God to help me with my issues and my problems, and He delivered me from drugs and alcohol and living in the streets and everything. And if He did it for me, He can do it for anyone else.
That's
That's why,
amazing.
yeah,
Thank you so much for sharing that. I think people want when people know a little bit of your story, um,
yes, ma'am.
they are more willing to listen to you and take your advice. And then of course, we won't get into all the deeper, darker stuff here.
Yeah,
Again, Paul's email is on the screen. If you want to reach
yeah,
out to him, have a one-on-one, you know, you'll that's a better way to start the conversation than having
yeah.
a big public conversation. And I really hope that people reach out, not just for your story, but just to talk about the music industry, and maybe
Yeah.
you can help them produce their own. Oh,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
produce their own music, or whatever the
Yeah.
case may be. So, again, RPG underscore 662 at yahoo.com. Reach out to
Right.
Paul. All right. And so, what would you say to those that question gospel rap music as a form of ministry? You know, there are some people who are stuck in their ways, and I'm not trying to,
Yeah.
put them down. However, there are some people that just hadn't just got on board with gospel rap, but it is a form of ministry. So, how would you kind of sell them on that? Like, gospel rap
Well,
is ministry.
it is. It's the same thing as ministering or preaching. The only difference is just you doing it over an instrumental or a beat. But the same thing is just witnessing to someone, ministering to someone, or preaching. It's the same thing. It's just the
Okay.
only difference. You got music. That's it.
Okay. And we I've heard the phrase reach people where they are. And
Yeah.
with the younger generation, I'm not going to say
Yeah.
sadly, but rap and a certain style of music is what reaches them. So if you
Yeah.
have the beat with some encouraging words, some
Yeah.
spiritual messages,
Right.
if that's what grabs them, then bring them on in.
That's it.
And then you can
That's it.
introduce them to some hymns. You can't
Yeah.
get young people with hymns. They just ain't going to go.
Right. Right.
They're not going for that.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. So as we get ready to wrap up, what are some final words of inspiration um, that you would like to leave with the people?
Just like I said, just keep God first, and whatever God put on your heart to do it. He'll give you the grace to get through it. That's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I just want to remind everyone, uh, please go to YouTube and subscribe to the Q Spot podcast. Make sure you
Uh,
hit that notification bell so you don't miss out when a new video is uploaded. Share this video with every single person. Tell them all about Mr. Paul Gilbert and his music, and he's also producing. So,
yeah.
hey, you might need those services as well. And don't forget
Yeah.
to take down his email address and reach out to him. I can't wait to see what the rest of the year holds, and
Yeah.
hopefully, next year we can catch up, or maybe six
Yeah.
months or so down the line, and we could see what's happening then. How many new artists have you brought into the mix, and
Okay.
hopefully you have some new music ready for us by then.
Yeah. I will.
Alrighty then. So again, if you would like to reach out to the Q Spot, my email is theqspotqsj@gmail.com. If you have a business or product or service you would like promoted, please reach out to me. We can discuss those details. I just want to thank everyone for your support for the Q Spot podcast. You can also find me on Anchor FM. The audio version of this interview will be available there, and the video will be on YouTube. So, Mr. Paul, thank you so very much for
Thank you.
giving me this time today.
Yes,
Um,
ma'am. It's a
this won't be our
blessing.
last. Huh?
I said it's been a blessing. Yeah.
Thank you. And this won't be our last interview, so y'all stay tuned for more. 6 months, 9 months, we don't know. Whenever some
Yeah.
new music drop, we'll be back.
All right.
All right. So everyone, I hope you have a great evening, and thank you for watching the Q Spot podcast.
All right.
Thank you for watching the Q Spot Podcast Video Edition. Don't forget to join the Q crew so you don't miss a beat. Follow, like, share, and subscribe to all of my social media platforms and the major podcast platforms. And as always, pink sugar kisses. Mwah.